Okay, what's up, YouTube? I'm gonna do a recap, okay, of how I feel on the whole issues that we have in terms of black men and women and how we relate to each other. Okay? First problem. We have bad behaviors. Now, whenever black men and black women out of pocket in terms of how we relate to each other, we always want to attribute it to, the dad wasn't there or the mom wasn't there, so they didn't know how two grown adults are supposed to interact. Everybody's quick, especially when it comes to the women, to run to the whole, well, their parents didn't have a successful relationship, so how do they know what to do, right? And it's valid, but here's my thing. You have black men and women who come from two-parent homes, maybe not ideal, but who come from semi-functioning two-parent homes that are still acting out of pocket. Okay, so when I was in school and even now, I still see black men and women who come from two-parent homes where mommy and daddy did things correctly, but yet they're still acting out of pocket. So what does that tell you? We have some bad behaviors. It's as simple as that. Okay, we have bad habits that you just can't write off because mommy and daddy weren't there, because people who do have mommy and daddy are still acting up and not doing what they need to be doing. Okay, so that is something that needs to be addressed. Second reason, we are very self-centered. So whenever you have a team, okay, or you have a player who wins the MVP, right? The true team players will do, or the true MVPs will say, what? I couldn't do this without my team, right? They made it possible. They allowed me to shine. But in the black community, we want the trophy. So we want to get that MVP, and we don't want to thank anybody else. It's just us. So we're conflicted. In a sense, we want that loving type of atmosphere that you have with somebody else, but at the same time, you still want the whole I'm the single standout. And you can see this with a lot of single mothers who want to be in a relationship, but then still want the title of a single mother, right? That's a kind of a snapshot of what I mean. You can't have both, right? You can't want to be the standout, but then be on a successful team. It doesn't work that way. Third problem. We do not, how can I put this? When we compare, okay, what other people are doing, we don't do so properly. We love to compare end results, but we don't want to compare the beginning, middle, and end. So there's nothing wrong with comparing two groups, two like-minded groups or two similar groups, but you just can't compare the end result. So you just can't look at the finished product and, come up with your final analysis. It doesn't work that way. You have to compare the beginning, middle, and end. Okay? But for a lot of brothers, they'll complain about what they're not seeing, and what other men may have, but they don't look at what those men were doing when they were younger as well. So what were these men doing when they were 21, 22, 23, 24, and what were you doing? Don't just look at where they are now and where you are now and say, see, look at what they have. Same thing with the women. You can't look at a woman who's 32, 33, who may have the husband, the family, and all that other good stuff, but not look at what that woman was doing or ask when she was in the beginning and in the middle. So you have to ask, okay, what were you doing when you were 22, 23? What were you doing when you were 26, 27? I see what you're doing now, that you're 31 plus, but I need to know what you were doing before. Okay? Before I make some sort of comparison. Because for a lot of black women, it's as if they have this whole idea that women turn 30, and when they turn 30, somebody magically drops a husband onto them, suddenly drops a home, suddenly drops 3 kids, and she's happy. Doesn't work that way. There was a struggle. Somewhere down the line, there was a struggle. But for both black men and women, we don't do that. Okay? So it's these 3 things, right, all mixed together, that give us what we have now. Okay? And oh, I forgot the 4th one. The 4th problem. We have people. Actually, 2 more. And this is mainly with the women, but it's big business exploiting the emotions of black women. Okay? So there's a whole lot of books and a whole lot of help this, help that, that is quote unquote designed to help black women, but it exploits them. It doesn't give solutions. It doesn't help them grow. Right? All it does is create this victim role and sell them false lies. So it's about selling black women this paradise that doesn't really exist at all. So that's also causing this issue that we have. Okay, because you have black men and women who need to dialogue, but you have these people who want to step in and dialogue or act as if they want to speak on your behalf, but in reality, all they're doing is holding you back. They're making money off of you. Be careful of anybody who's making money off of you or who's trying to sell you something. But for a lot of women, we don't see that. For the men, we do a better job, but for the most part, we don't see that. So part of the solution is attacking the people who are making money off of the misery of black women. 5th, stereotypes of black men. Okay? We hold on to stereotypes that hurt. That hurt. And this goes back to how I feel about sex. You know, a lot of people have asked me, how do you feel about premarital sex? I feel like you should only be having sex with another person if you are in a committed relationship. Now, if that is marriage to you, then that is marriage. That's not what I'm talking about. Any sort of committed relationship. I don't care about the title. You know as a person when you truly are committed to somebody. Simple as that. Okay? But what hurts is this whole idea that as black men, we have to be these sexual super beings. Right? And for most people, okay, having casual sex is dangerous because everybody has an emotional component. So even black men have an emotional component when it comes to sex. It's funny because a lot of black men say, you know, it doesn't really matter to me, right? So they can be with a whole bunch of women. But that's if those whole bunch of women are only messing with him. You know, I've seen dudes feel like it's okay to have multiple partners. But when those same partners are then dipping out with other men, they're upset in the same way that a woman might be upset when a man cheats on them. So even then, there's still the emotional component. Like I said before, if you have no emotional connection to sex, man, you might as well make money off of it. Go be a porn star. Go make money. But as far as the rest of us average folk, there is an emotional component to it. But because you have black men who embody this whole idea of being, you know, the sexual superheroes, right? Because of the sexual luxuries that it gives you, especially when you're younger, we engage in behavior that damages us. So because a lot of us are having sex so freely, it prohibits us from actually forming meaningful relationships down the line. Right? It just makes one big... It's like when you take your shoelaces and you wash them together, right? And they get tangled up. That's how I feel. That's what I think happens to black men in terms of this whole sexual mandingo thing. We keep doing something because we feel we have to own up to that stereotype. But then at the same time, it's damaging us, to me, spiritually, emotionally, physically, in terms of our health. Because there's a whole bunch of emotions that you haven't dealt with. And it's all mixed up. Like I said before, just look at some of your homies. A lot of them might say, man, I can be with multiple women. You don't know what you're talking about. But let one of those chicks that you're messing with go off and mess with another dude, and I bet you'll be butthurt. And like I said before, if you're not, go be a porn star. So in a nutshell, I kind of increased my 3 to 5. But all 5 things kind of play a part in terms of what we have here. So a lot of my videos tend to center around one of these 5 things or more than one of these 5 things, because in order for us to move on, we have to deal with these issues and attack them. Right? That's the true dialogue. So anyways, you guys take it easy. Tell me how you feel. God bless.